Well, greetings everyone from Cooperstown, New York, site of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. We're very glad to be with you on this fall day for Virtual Voices of the Game. My name is Bruce Markison. I work in the Baseball Hall of Fame's Education Department. And today, in celebration of our newest exhibit here at the Hall of Fame, it's called Yakyu Baseball, we're going to be talking to two former stars from the Japanese leagues. They are brothers LeRon Lee and LeRon Lee. They left the States after a few years of playing professional baseball back in the 1970s. They both signed on with the Lotte Orions, a Japanese team in the late 70s, and went on to have fabulous careers there. Just to throw a few numbers your way, in 1980, LeRon Lee batted .340 while hitting 41 home runs with 116 RBIs. And for his Japanese career, LeRon batted .308 with 268 home runs. And then his brother, LeRon, 1980, batted .358 to take the league batting title. And for LeRon's career in Japan, he hit .320 with 283 home runs. LeRon has not yet been able to connect. We're having some connection issues. We hope to resolve that momentarily. But we do have with us LeRon Lee. LeRon, welcome to the program and to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Thank you for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure, Bruce. This is kind of a throwback. They bring back a lot of memories of playing in Japan and a lot of the fans there, and hopefully left an impact. And just happy to be on your show. Thank you.
Yeah. For those looking at our photographs that are on our video PowerPoint presentation, if you look at the photo on the left, so LeRon is on the left side of that photo, and LeRon with the rather distinctive mustache is on the right. And then if you look at the photograph on the right side of your screen, they're holding bats. In that photo, LeRon is on the left. He was a left-handed hitter, and Leon, the right-handed hitter, is on the right. So they kind of reverse places in the two photographs there. And one of the reasons that we're talking with Leon, and hopefully in a few minutes, LeRon, is this new exhibit, which opened up earlier this year. These are some images from Yakyu Baseball, which opened up just before Hall of Fame weekend. It looks at the cultural exchange of the game between the United States and Japan. The exhibit profiles some of the star players like Hideo Nomo, Ichiro Suzuki, and Shohei Ohtani, who have joined MLB after starring in Nippon Professional Baseball, which is the official name for the Japanese leagues. The exhibit also tells stories of players like the Lee brothers, Leon and LeRon. They started their careers in America before taking their talents to Japan. Leon and LeRon served as advisors to us for this exhibit, answered a lot of questions for us, and each generously loaned us a significant artifact from his career in Japan. Early career for these two players. They both did start their careers in America. In the minor leagues, Leon played 7 seasons in the minor league system for the St. Louis Cardinals. LeRon played with several major league teams, including the Padres, the Cardinals, the Indians, the Dodgers. But ultimately, they did make the decision. LeRon in 1977, signing on with the Lotte Orions of the Japanese leagues. And then the following year, 1978, Leon joining his brother with that same Lotte franchise. Now, Leon, you were in that Cardinal minor league system for 7 years, and you put up pretty decent numbers playing first base, third base, the outfield. And then you decided, I'm going to take my abilities to Japan. Was it simply a case of more playing time and better pay in Japan, or were there other factors for you?
Well, I come up through the system after I got drafted by St. Louis, and I was always the younger brother of LeRon Lee, and he was in the major leagues when I signed with St. Louis. I had some football options. I was thinking about contemplating playing football at college in Oklahoma, but at the same time, my dad had mentioned that it would be kind of nice seeing you and your brother playing together. Uh, One of the main reasons I signed was, my brother was in the big leagues with St. Louis. I got drafted by St. Louis, but right after I signed, unfortunately, he got traded over to San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
But I went up through the system fairly fast, but I got kind of got stuck at double A, triple A. In those days, there wasn't a lot of trades going on. We had just, tremendous amount of speed at the big league level. I was more of a hitter, not a speedster. So I was in triple A actually when my brother in 77 went over to Japan, and he had just a big year. And if you remember, Jimmy Lefevre was on that club as a player coach.
Mm,
And then the idea came up being only two Americans allowed per team. They thought about me coming over to Japan because I was kind of stuck in the minor leagues. I was in big league camp, back to AAA. Uh, the last year I was there, I was learning how to catch, which may have been a ticket, and I went back to Double A to catch.
mm,
And that's when Jimmy Lefevre came over and threw the idea of me coming over to Japan. At the first time, the Cardinals wouldn't let me go, but in '78, the start of, at the wintertime before the '78 season, the Cardinals decided to sell my contract to Lotte. I think I was probably, since I was playing behind Ted Simmons, thought that I may have to go back to the minor leagues again, which would not have been fun. But joining my brother with Lotte was really attractive. The money played a little part in it, but in those days, the money was not like it is today.
yeah.
But when I got off the airplane in Japan, being the Lee brothers, Lee Kildai, I couldn't even believe how much media was there. So right away, it started off on the right foot for me. It's just big time right off the bat and never stopped.
So you were in a tough situation, Leon, with the Cardinals. I mean, a good
Yes,
organization, but you're there
yes,
for 7 years. They tell you, we want you to be a catcher. Oh, by the way, you're going to be behind a Hall of Famer in Ted
ex-
Simmons. So the writing is on the wall.
exactly.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't trade me. I asked to be traded, and they said, "Well, we're not in the practice of trading our top prospects, but how do you hold top prospects in the minor leagues for so long without at least getting opportunity? Let me pinch hit off the bench. Maybe, who knows? I may hit a game-winning home run, and you may change your mind." But I just was running out of steam. I was losing my passion, going back to the same place and having to perform, but not really performing, I thought, up to my talent. And it really came out in Japan. It's like I became a much better ball player, I think, when I was in Japan, being a younger brother, expectations high, having Kaneda as a manager who was like all over me from day one, but only for my benefit. But it made me
Yeah.
my hard work. I didn't even realize I could go to that level because I wouldn't have done it in the minor leagues. I was sort of like languishing in AAA.
So was Lotte the only Japanese team you talked to or considered?
Yes, they were the only ones that when Mr. Kaneda and Jimmy Lefevre came over that winter, we met, had dinner in Los Angeles, and the words that Kaneda said kind of stuck with me. He says, "We think you could do well in Japan because you have very soft eyes." He said, "You have gentle eyes, and I think you can adjust to Japanese baseball." That was what he told me. And it kind of surprised me because I was questioning whether or not, I had the ability to come over and perform that as well as my brother did the year before. And it turned out that first year I was there, we were third and fourth
Hmm.
in the league. About, if you look at the stats, I think he was 316.7. I was 316.4 in
Yeah.
the league, and that was really, it was really big for me just being that close to my older brother in batting average.
It's interesting. The manager characterized you as having soft eyes. I've never
Exactly.
heard that as a scouting report for a baseball player.
I hadn't either before or after. I've never since. He told me right at the dinner table. He says, "You just have soft eyes. You have gentle eyes. I think you'll be able to adjust well in Japan." That's exactly what he told me. I said,
Yeah.
"Wow."
You mentioned the manager was very hard on you, and I guess that was typical because we've always heard stories about how in Japan there's workouts every day. They practice, they drill, they practice, they drill. Is that what you were getting used to in that first season?
Yeah, it was. I lost 22 pounds in spring training, my first spring over there, because we were known as the Lotte running machine under Mr. Kaneda. Even though he had won 400 career games, he felt like he could have won more if he'd have worked harder. And that was his mantra. And at first, he separated me from my brother because he was a veteran, older. He could back out of the running practices, but I was the younger brother, and he kept me involved where I did everything the Japanese players did. And I took it on as a challenge, to be honest. I did all the hard work, the ground balls, 1,000 ground ball rule thing, and did all the running, run from the stadium back to the hotel. I did it, and I was proud of myself for doing it, even though I could have complained about it, but I didn't. I got it done, and Mr. Kaneda always respected me for doing that.
So it did make you a better player.
Yeah, without a doubt, no question
Yeah.
about it. Just the condition I was in was, I just realized I wasn't really doing all the work. I took it upon myself to say, I'm complaining about not being in the major leagues, and a lot of people telling me I should be in the major leagues. But after my first year in Japan, the reality hit, and I was just honest with myself, and I said, you know what? I just I didn't do the work that I should have done, because it wasn't like I was this great Barry Bonds type superstar born with it. I had to work to get it, and I thought, being my brother's younger brother, I had a free ticket to the big leagues. And maturity and growth and hard work, and I think Mr. Kaneda made me believe I had to work at it, and I became a much better ball player.
Leon, how much did it help having your brother there? Because he had gone through it the year
Oh,
before. Was he able to prepare you a little bit for this?
without a doubt. I mean, he prepared me even more on the long flight over on the airplane. Just a few words, what to expect um, on a daily basis once we were there, the expectations, the media, Japanese way of, all the meetings. He prepared me for it, so I didn't have the culture shock as severe as some players coming over for the first time without having that someone there to tell them how to prepare them. So it was a huge help for me.
Yeah. How did your teammates initially receive you?
Oh, very well, very well. There was some competition. I have to admit, Arito, third baseman, had been Mr. Lotte before. I think he felt a little culture shock because the Lee brothers were getting a lot of attention. But I think it helped him to a degree that he played harder and played more.
Mhm.
But for the most part, Toyo Kunimitsu, our interpreter, really indoctrinated me. He stuck with me a lot, and we had a lot of Iska and Hirota and some of the guys that Tokutsu and Murata Choji. Some of the guys we just got along greatly. Yeah, we did. It was a fun time our first year.
How about the fans? How did they treat you?
Very well, very well. I think it was kind of a novelty, the Lee brothers, but also uh, I had a fan. I was on the train going to Kawasaki, and the fan came up and said, "How can I be riding the train with regular people?" And I go, "Well, I am regular people." I didn't think of anything else being any other way, but they looked at baseball players in general. But me and my brother were sort of like, kind of like put on a kind of a pedestal, and I was, just took a while to understand the level that the Japanese fans took baseball. Baseball was like a religion. It took me a little while coming out of the minor leagues to say, wow, these people they really love baseball. It
Mhm.
took a little while to really grasp how important it was. So for me to be responsible to kind of hold that mantra.
I love this picture of the two of you in the Lotte Stadium. I want to see if we can pin down when this picture was taken. That's LeRon on the left. You're on the right with kind of a yellowish looking bat, both with big smiles. Few fans
Yeah,
in the upper deck of the stadium. Do you remember taking this photograph?
I do vaguely, but uh, I used a big bat over there. It took a while for them to get my bat right, 'cause
Hmm.
I used a bigger bat than normal. I think it was like each kilo, as they called it, 1,020 gram bat or something like that. So it had a little yellow, but I think I remember taking that picture. Did we
Yeah.
get Lee around on here?
I'm on here.
Oh, all right.
All right, there we have LeRon. At least we have him on the phone, no video, but we do have the audio. LeRon, thank you for joining us, Virtual Voices of the Game here at the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. How are you, LeRon?
I'm doing fine. Sorry to be late this morning. I'm sitting there having breakfast with an old buddy of mine, and when I got the call, and I guess I've been in Monterey and traveling around, so I didn't see the video, the emails. Sorry to be late.
Well, we're
but
glad
happy
that
to
we
be
have you
here.
with us.
I'm glad to be here. Yes.
Yeah. So we've been talking to Leon about joining Lotte in 1978, 1 year after you signed with the team. And we got a good sense from Leon about how he was stuck in the Cardinals organization. They were going to make him a catcher, but he would still be behind somebody like Ted Simmons, a Hall of Famer. Let's talk about your situation, LeRon. Why did you decide to leave? You'd played some in the majors, you'd bounced around with several organizations, and then ultimately 1977, you have a chance to go to the Lotte Orions. What was the biggest factor that made you leave America and go to Japan?
I think the biggest factor, after over almost 8 years in the majors and 4 different teams, I wasn't really in a good spot. I put it that way. I think in order to really be a good player in the major leagues, you had to play every day. And if you didn't play every day and you were a platoon player, like they had made me most of the time, you weren't going to hit well. I mean, in those days, every major league team had 4 really good starters, and I mean, there were no. Every team had Hall of Famers on their pitching staff. It was not like today. 32 teams. Back in those days, I think we had 16 or 18 teams. So everybody had a load of pitchers, especially starting pitchers, and so not playing every day. I just needed to find some kind of way to get in the lineup so I could show my wares. And when I decided in '77, I had a choice between going to camp with Seattle or Toronto, which were the newer teams. And I had decided after I left the Dodgers I'm just going to wait and look at the roster and see if I could get invited to Seattle or Toronto. Whoever had the fewest left-handed batters, that's who I was going to pick anyway.
Yeah.
And Japan popped up. And when Japan popped up, the first question I asked is, am I going to play every day? And the guy, it was Jim Lefebvre who contacted me because he was playing on Lotte at the time. And I knew Jim from, playing days in the majors. And my first question to him was, would I play every day, which is what I needed to do to get my bat stroke back, or, just a normal feeling of being in the ballpark and in uniform and playing. So he said, of course, you're going to play every day, and da-da-da-da-da. And then they offered me a salary, and I said, well, that'd be a good place to go to play every day. And maybe a year or 2 years, I would, try to come back to the major league. Because at that time, Japan had a reputation of being a good AAA league and not a major league league. So that was why I went. I was going to play every day, and I knew I was a good hitter. Even at times in the majors, when I played every day, I batted over 300 when I played every day. So that was the main reason that I left, was to just get myself back in order and on top of my game. And I was 27 years old at that time, so my best days were yet to come, I thought.
So there was a guarantee of playing time. How about the money? Was it comparable to what you were already making in the major leagues?
I think Japan offered me I made about 4 times the money that I was going to have to negotiate from in the majors.
Wow.
Yeah. The money was really good. I'll put it that way, comparatively. Yeah.
So you said when you're going over there, you had heard that it was about AAA baseball. When you start playing there in '77 and '78, did you find out that was true, or did you find out that the competition was maybe stronger than you were told?
The competition was much stronger than I was told. And I'll tell you, the opening day game in 1977, we had a team meeting, and the scouts went over the pitcher that was pitching against us the next opening day. His name was Cage Suzuki, a left-handed pitcher. And I listened to the scouting report, and I turned to Jim Lefevre, and I said, if this guy can pitch like this scout says, we're not going to get any hits tomorrow. I mean, the guy had a slider, he had a fastball, he had this. He had like 5 different pitches, and he can perfect control of all of them. And I said, nobody pitches like that. I mean, I've heard all the major league scouting reports for 8 years. I never heard a scouting report like this before. So I told Jim, kind of laughing, this guy's going to pitch a no-hitter tomorrow. Well, he pitched a 2-hitter.
Wow.
and those 2 hits were probably just infield rollers that, very soft. This guy, this left-hander, was the best left-handed pitcher I ever faced in my life, anywhere, bar none. I faced Steve Carlton when he was 72, when he pitched well for the Phillies, and I had 4 hits, and I think I had 7 at bats. Got 4 hits off of him because I could read him. But this Suzuki guy, it took me like 4 years. Hey, there goes a train. Wow.
So
What's that? Is that me?
This is interesting.
Hello?
LeRon. You were told that the competition was high level minor league, AAA. You found out it was better.
Yes.
But your performance got better. You got a chance to play every day. Your statistics were outstanding, so you became a better player.
I was already a great player,
Okay.
but I became a greater player in Japan.
Yeah.
And we'd go over, first of all, there was 2 months of spring training. And right away I said, why do you guys need 2 months of spring training? And in Japan, their mantra was, practice is everything and the game is secondary. And I told them, no, in America, the game is most important and practice is secondary. Well, the second year I went back to Japan and Leon came over, I told him right away, practice is most important and the game is secondary, just like the Japanese. Remember that, Leon?
Oh, yeah, I do.
And the thing is, the way you practice is how you perform in a game. And, I mean, if you look at today, you see Ohtani, they say they rate him as the greatest player in the history of baseball. Well, he's the greatest player in today's baseball game, is the way I like to look at it. He's a super great player. But, I mean, I could go back and I could put Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle playing today, and they would hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases. All of them would. In today's game, because pitching is not as long. They don't have enough pitchers to pitch 32 teams. So there's a lot of guys who played in the past who would be rated as the greatest player in today's game. So I don't put it past them, but the Japanese, what they do is they practice year round. They practice 2 months of spring training. They take 2 weeks off at the end of the season, and they start practice again until New Year's.
That's why they win the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah. You see it in the World Baseball Classic. They play baseball 12 months a year, and they study and work on everything all the time, all year long. I mean, I bet you that over a whole year they might take 4 weeks off if they take that many.
LeRon, I don't know that you're able to see the photograph that we have up on the screen. It's a great picture of you and Leon. You're holding bats up, big smiles on your face in the ballpark in Lotte. I want to ask you about when you learned that your brother was going to be joining you in Japan. What was your reaction?
I was very happy. Well, there's a huge long story about it that probably everybody doesn't want to hear it, but I was after my manager all year, my first year, to bring Leon to Lotte in 1978, and just as hard as I could, the more propaganda I could put out there and the more stories I could tell, And I got my scouting reports from my dad because Leon is 5 years younger than I am. I never really saw him play in high school or Legion or even junior high. I was already gone. And but my dad told me that Leon could play anywhere, everywhere, anytime, any day. And to tell you the truth, if the scouting and everything was fair back in those days, Leon should have played in the major leagues those 20 years versus playing in Japan, because he was one of the better players. And I played against and talked with a lot of Hall of Famers. I mean, Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and McCovey and Billy Williams and the Cubs, all those guys I talked to a lot, especially about hitting. And, the scouting report on Leon, he didn't have a position. Well, Leon could play every position. He could catch, he could first base, third base, any outfield. And then they scouted, Leon was not that fast. Well, Leon was very fast compared to Joe Torre. And I watched Joe Torre bat 366 and win the batting title. And Joe Torre couldn't outrun anybody. I mean, but he still batted 366 in the National League. But Leon was a better player than those guys, hitter-wise and game-wise and team person-wise. And but here he is playing in Japan with me, and we're both there basically for the same reason. We don't have a place to play. I mean, Tommy Lasorda told me one day when I was with the Dodgers, because I wasn't an original Dodger at the time. They had Say and Garvey and Russell and all those guys grew up in the minor leagues with the Dodgers. Well, they supposedly were true blue Dodgers because they were raised in their farm system. Well, I was raised in the Cardinals farm system. I could never be a true blue Dodger, so I didn't play. It's not that I wasn't a good hitter. It's just that I wasn't a true blue Dodger in their mind. So, my move to Japan was beneficial to me. I got a chance to play every day. I batted 300 and what did I hit? 317. I should have won a Triple Crown if you ask anybody who was there watching it. But I won the home run title and the RBI title, and my teammate won the batting title, and I watched them win it. And so I could tell you the exact story on how he won that batting title. But all in all, Leon got to Japan, and baseball. In my mind at the time, in my mind today, we can see it. Baseball is baseball. If you're playing Little League or if you're playing in the major leagues, you got to put out the same energy and the same enthusiasm and enjoyment of the game to really enjoy it and to really play it.
We asked Leon about how he was received by his other teammates, by the fans. He said he was received very well. Was that the same experience for you?
Absolutely. I love the Japanese fans. They made boring games exciting, and they made exciting games more exciting. And we had our own little songs that they played every time you batted. They chanted, they beat drums and played trumpets. It was very enjoyable for the fans and to play for the fans in Japan. Same as here. It's just I heard the roar the other night when Toronto clinched the pennant and headed to the World Series, and it was like 45,000 people just going berserk and happy because their team won. Well, that's the essence of baseball. That's why it's the greatest sport, is because everybody can really truly be involved in the game. And it's been known for a long time. If you call a play, if you want a bunt play and you're sitting in the stands, well, you might be right or you might be wrong, just like the manager. And the player might execute or he may not execute, just like every player on the field. And this is where I really differ with analytics, is baseball is a game that every play that happens, every pitch that's thrown, every ball that's caught is a different play every time it happens. It's just a phenomenal ball game. And if it was perfect, nobody would ever win. The game would just keep going on and on and on because there'd be nothing but zeros on the board. So it's a game that everybody can play and everybody can enjoy, and that's the greatest part. Doesn't need computers.
I want to talk to both of you about what was the hardest part in adjusting to Japanese culture, living in Japan on a day-to-day basis. let's start with Leon. What was the most difficult thing? Was it not knowing the language or was it something else?
No, the language wasn't really an issue. We had a great interpreter, Toyo Kunimitsu, as I said earlier. He really protected us sometimes. When the coach said something that didn't really make a lot of sense to us, he would explain it, keep us in a kind of a really good mood. The difficulty for me in adjusting the Japanese was pitchers like Hisashi Yamada, who he brushes knuckles on the dirt when he pitched,
Hmm.
and he threw 90 plus mile an hour. And I think I went over the whole first year I was there against him. But learning, I think the discipline, the practice schedules. I think me and my brother probably we had that little term before Nike did. We just said, just do it. And no matter how frustrating things got or how different it was and culturals, including, not only language things, but food, the travel, the long practices, like he said, 2 months of spring training, they kind of separated me from him a little bit because I did all the running, like I said earlier. But those things were hard, but they were helpful to me. I think we just said, just do it. And you see a lot of foreigners that come over to Japan and, oh man, I don't like this. They run too much. Oh, that strike zone is ridiculous. And our strike zone was so wide.
Ridiculous.
It was kind of ridiculous, but what we learned how to adapt to it. I get balls that were. I had an umpire that tried to explain it to me. Says, well, Leon, the ball is off the plate outside. It's called a Leon strike because if they had to throw you a strike, 80% of the time you'd hit a home run. And they didn't look at it as being unfair. They looked at it as keeping a balance. So me and my brother both, our strike zones were unheard of. We talk about a ball on the black. A ball on the black to us was like right down the middle because
You ain't kidding.
we had to learn how to hit balls that were, and they would explain to us that that's for you it's a strike, for everybody else it's a ball, and it's different
Mhm.
nowadays. It's more
Yeah.
exposed, but
Did
those
that
are
make you
things
mad,
that were the
Leon?
hardest
Were
to
you
adapt.
upset that they did that to you?
Yeah, I was
What's that?
upset for a little while. Go ahead, Leon.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna stretch on what you were saying. The strike zone became my one of my first meetings with Bobby Marcano, who had played there already for 6 or 7 years. And Bobby, I says, how do you guys hit the strike zone? And said, Bobby told me my first year is every time you walk into the batter's box, think about getting 7 swings. And what do you mean? Because when you get in the batter's box, start swinging because they're going to call it a strike no matter what. And I, like Leon said, I had balls that hit me, curveballs that actually hit me. An umpire called it a strike. And it was no getting around it. So if an umpire called us out on a strike, our mantra was it was too close to take. So we should have swung at it. Or like the manager told Leon one day to get a longer bat.
Yeah.
Our manager said that. Get a longer bat because the ball was like 2 feet outside. So there was no arguing about it. That was going to happen. So what we did was we took advantage of the practice time, of the hours and hours of this or that. Me and Leon always worked on batting, tee batting, swing batting, home run batting. Any kind of way that you could bat, we did it, and we learned how to do it. And, we ended up, both of Leon had a 311, I think, lifetime batting average for his 10 years, and I had a 320. Actually, I the first 10 years I played there, I hit over 300. I hit 300 every year. And the company told me the first year that I don't hit 300, they were going to release me. They told me that in my 5th year. So I said, that's very interesting. But that happened. I hit 272 the last year there, and they released me. I was done for. It was good anyway, but they told me that early on, and that even the guy who took my place, I told him, when I found out his name, I said, hey, I could bat right-handed, and I'll have a better year than he's going to have next year in Japan, and that was true. it turned out to be true. And he didn't like it. I knew he wouldn't like Japan. I can see his face, but I can't think of his name right now. Plays for the
Bill,
Pittsburgh Pirates once. What's
Bill,
that?
Bill Matlock.
Bill Matlock.
Bill
Yeah,
Matlock.
I knew he. Yeah, Bill Matlock. I knew he wasn't going to like Japan. I talked to too many guys who came over and decided, hey, this is not for me. I'm going home. And it wasn't for a lot of guys at the time. And I think the biggest compliment that Leon and I got for our careers in Japan was from the left-handed guy from Sable, played for Sable a long time, Leon.
Oh, you mean
Played for
the Japanese player?
no American player.
You mean what?
Not Terry. He was after Terry. He won a couple of championships with Sable, hit a bunch of home runs. He was after Terry and Steve.
After Terry and Steve.
Jim
You're
Tracy?
talking about the big Latin player, Cuban?
No. I think he played for the Marlins in Atlanta for a while. But he knew C. Jones. Yeah. Anyway, that guy told us. He told me one day. He said, "Thank you guys for fixing up the strike zone for us, because they don't call balls and strikes on us like they called on you guys."
Leroy, let me ask you the same question I asked Leon. Was there a part of Japanese culture that was difficult for you to get used to?
Probably the hardest thing was the rainy season. I thought I didn't like the rainy season they had there in June and July. That was difficult because they canceled a lot of games. I think my first year we had 16 cancellations, rained out games, and probably 10 or 12 of them we could have played because it rained at 2:00. And if they didn't have a pitcher, they would cancel the game. Or if the odds were in their favor, they would cancel the game.
Or didn't get practice in.
They got practice in, but they wouldn't play the game. Hey, I actually, my first day I landed in Japan, there was a press conference for me, which was a surprise. Here I am, a bench player in the States, and there's a big press conference waiting for me at Haneda Airport. And I went over, when I got off the airplane that day, I was carrying a model airplane with me and my radio control box. And the general manager asked our interpreter, Toyo, he says, "Where's his bat and glove?" I had my radio control equipment with me because Japan at that time was the land of, they made almost all the radio control stuff, and that was my hobby. And I did the press conference and went to the hotel and put my bags down and instantly found the nearest hobby shop. And I got in a taxi and gave him the name of the place. Of course, I basically tore it out of the phone book in my room. They still had phone books in those days. And he took me to the hobby shop, and I met the owner of the hobby shop. His name was Kenji Nakamura, and he was in the store. He's the first Japanese person that I met when I landed in Japan after the baseball conference. And to this day, we're still best friends. And that was basically when I got to Japan. I moved in like that, and the majority of my friends were introduced to me outside of baseball. Tom and Romy Chapman and Bob Whiting was good friends with Tom. So I met a bunch of people that first year that were basically foreigners in the same boat that I was in, going through the same exact problem as a foreigner in Japan. And, I would hear their stories, and they had been living there, doing this or that there. And so I knew what was coming. I knew what was going to happen to me. And I actually thought I was going to live in Japan. I thought I was going to stay there for the rest of my life. I was going to be a resident of Tokyo, Japan. So I enjoyed it. And of course, I will tell everybody who's on the phone or anybody who ever asks me, whenever you go to Tokyo or Osaka or anywhere in Japan, you're going to have a great meal, great service, and a great great meal. I don't care what it is, from steak to sushi. It's going to be good. So I enjoyed it. I totally enjoyed Japan. The weather was kind of bad. Of course, when it got hot, we were always in shape, and the hotter it got, the better it was to get hits off pitchers who got tired in the fifth inning. Yeah.
How about you, Leon? Did you like the food well too?
Oh yeah, I loved the food. There was nowhere to eat. I still have trouble. I hardly eat steak over here anymore because once you eat the steak in Japan, you're ruined for life. Um,
Yeah.
you can't get better steak. And then I love seafood. And one time our dad was in Japan and I was scarfing these shrimp down, Bruce, and I love shrimp. And then all of a sudden I had one and it was kind of a bad one at the time. But I told my dad, I said, "Oh no, I ate a bad shrimp." And he said, "Well, spit it out." And I said, "It's too late. I already swallowed it." And I got a little sick on that one. But for the most part, I went over in 1990 with the Major League All-Star Tour, and I remember Dave Stewart was with us, and he goes, "Leon, you told me all the good food. Every night we have to go to a different restaurant. Every single night we go to a different restaurant." And Dave Stewart said, "Wow, never had food this good. No matter where we went, I took him to
Yeah.
Yakyu. We done, steakhouse. Went to Chinese. We went to Mexican. We went to French. We went to Greeks, and I mean, every night was a different restaurant." And he said, "Now we got to go all the way back home, where all you get is Kentucky Fried Chicken." But but love the food.
Even their Kentucky Fried Chicken over there was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
So, Leon, you did very well with Lotte. You were playing at a very high level, as was your brother. But then you had to deal with being traded. The Orions sent you to Yokohama to play for the Whales. Was this
Yes.
because the Orions had reached a limit of American players? I heard they wanted to bring in an American pitcher, and they could only have two Americans or two foreigners on the team. Was that the reason they traded you?
No, no, not that was long from that. Actually, not to say anything negative, but at the time, right before that, and me and my brother both had really endorsed OCI. Remember when OCI came on the scene? And we came
Mm-hmm.
over and the crowd, the fans, it was almost like they felt like our team had too much of a foreign image, and they were really endorsing OCI. And OCI mentioned that he was going to out hit us that one year, and the newspaper were saying stuff like, we really behind you because we were. I think if you remember in 1980, we made that record, baseball boogie.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it had a lot to do with our image of Lotte having having Lee brothers. We got to a point where I think the fans were leaning toward us little bit more. I remember Rito was known as Mr. Lotte, and it was kind of creating some friction. I think the trade came from
I,
a standpoint.
Leon, we created more than friction. Actually, the fans started calling our team was named the Lotte Orions, but they actually started calling our team the Lotte Lees, and I think that was the friction. I mean, we totally dominated everybody when we were playing. In 1980, I always batted third, and Leon batted fourth, and we hit back-to-back home runs 12 times in 1980.
Yeah,
And
that's
another time, you remember that? And another time we were in a slump. I think we lost 15 games in a row, which is almost impossible, but we did it. But every run that we scored in those 15 games was either scored or knocked in by me or Leon. None of the other players did anything. And to me, that was the biggest reason for the division is we dominated so much that the fans started calling our team the Lotte Lees, and they started calling Arito a different name because he couldn't compete with us. And of course, OTI came in, and that became our competition. And, after Leon left, I never hit another 100 RBIs because I was batting in front of OTI, and every time I would knock a guy, I would hit a double, and the first base runner would stop at third every time. And I mean, the players would come in and apologize to me, at least, sorry I didn't score for you, but I said, I know you got to stop there for OTI so you can win the Triple Crown. It was a very what's the word for it? I don't know.
It was pretty obvious at times, where that part,
very obvious. Yeah.
That part was. So really, in a way, it was almost like I even heard that LeRon was going to get traded to the other league, but they didn't have the DH over there. And remember, you had that bad knee. And
for everybody, well, they thought I was going to get traded because I'm 5 years older than you.
yeah,
And so I'm the old guy. That, they're going to trade LeRon or do something to him, because they just got to break up the situation that they had put themselves in. I mean, it was one day we went out, we played Kentetsu Buffaloes down in Osaka, and they beat us. And in the newspaper, it didn't say anything else about the rest of the team getting shut out, but the Buffaloes shut out the Lee brothers. I mean, 3-inch print in the sports page, all of them. And the Buffaloes beat the Lotte. The next day, Leon and I, we hit 5 home runs by the fourth inning or fifth inning. We had 10 RBIs. Yeah. We had 5 for 5 in home runs, and Leon had gotten a walk. So, and the next day in the paper, it was a little bitty article. Lotte beat Kentetsu. Nothing about our 5 home runs and 5 and 6 at bat. And that's the way it went. I broke, what was that, Kawakami, who was the god of batting in Japan. He's like their Ty Cobb. I broke his record for getting 1,500 hits. I was the fastest guy in the history of Japan to get 1,500 hits. And the newspaper article read, if we call Kawakami the god of batting, what are we going to call LeRon Lee? And that was it. No, they never called me anything except out, when they could. But that, all of the negative stuff that Leon and I had to go through or put up with, I think it really led to eventually by us basically defeating that, overcoming that. It changed all the rules and regulations of baseball. I went there when I was 27. I turned 28 that first year. Leon came when he was 24. And before that, they only took guys probably 35 and older who were totally finished in baseball. They probably couldn't hit more than 250 or 60. And Leon and I changed that to a totally different look and a totally different idea. And then Ichiro comes to America. And here now they see that Japan can hit, and Japan can play, and Japan can pitch. And so when we went to Japan, that transition started. And I mean, I could name you 5 or 6 guys that was pitching back in 1977 that could pitch every day in the major leagues right now. Yeah. And the way the Dodgers are going, I'm actually, Ted Simmons said Choji Murata, a pitcher on the Lotte, was the best pitcher he ever faced in his life. He was a Hall of Fame guy, and that's what he said back in the 90s. Murata was the best pitcher he ever faced in his life. And, I mean, Ted batted against a few Hall of Famers in his life, too. So, all in all, baseball is put together to be a real sport, a difficult sport, and a good sport for people to go and watch and see every day. Yeah. Good.
So, Leon, the trade must have been a terrible disappointment for you. How did you end up enjoying or not enjoying your time with Yokohama?
Well, first of all, the positive side of the trade was I went to Yokohama Stadium, which is beautiful compared to Kawasaki. The downside of it was the kind of like the fact that me and my brother were kind of wrenched apart a little bit. That was the hard part. The funny thing was, we had hit back-to-back home runs, like you said, 12 times that one year. And after I went to Yokohama, it was ironic that a lot of times Yokohama and
Oh
Kawasaki
yeah,
were so close to each other. We hit home runs in the same game, minutes apart from each other. It was really ironic, even though I was playing on another team
yeah, in
down the
another
road.
city.
Yeah, in another city, we were still hitting home runs in the same games, like minutes apart. I would hit a home run and go down in the dugout and watch his at bat, and he would do the vice versa, and he'd hit a home run and go down and watch him at bat, and I would hit a home run on television because especially in the Central League, our games against the Giants and Tigers were always televised, and it was amazing how often we hit home runs in the same day, even though we were playing in different leagues.
Hmm.
But really, it was a transition to the Central League from the Pacific League, and kind of the reasons behind it was a little worrisome because I thought, I mean, we had a good thing going right there playing together, and it could have happened for all 10, 11 years we were there. Uh, but unfortunately, I had to, I played 5 in the Central and 5 in the Pacific, so it was a good experience overall.
We have just a few minutes remaining with our two guests, Leon and LeRon Lee. I do want to talk to each of you about these artifacts that you have loaned to the Hall of Fame. And let's
Uh,
start with LeRon's silver bat. You received this, LeRon, for winning the batting title, 358 mark in 1980. What does it mean for you to have an item like this in this Yakyu baseball exhibit?
It's a great honor. Actually, just to go there when they opened the exhibit, we were invited over there, and so we went to Cooperstown, and we had talked about going many times. I was going to go see Ted Simmons' induction. Of course, we had COVID, and so it ended up I didn't go see Ted get inducted. But being there this summer to see the opening of the exhibit for Japan was unbelievable. And I can't wait to go back. I'm going to wait until the weather's really nice so I can walk around town and enjoy every little bit of that town. But all of the history and the exhibit itself, all 3 floors, everything in there, excuse me, it's just, you just got to soak it in. I mean, it's just amazing the history of baseball and the people that have played baseball. And you have a silver bat sitting up in there, and you've got pictures of you and your brother high-fiving each other in there. And they actually have a little room where they're playing baseball boogie on a like a little. I recorded that. I mean, I've been showing it. I show it to everybody in Sacramento. Every time we get to sit down, I show them that exhibit, and I just tell everybody, if you like baseball, if you enjoy baseball, you've got to go to Cooperstown to get the real meaning and the real feeling of what baseball really is, and the history, the longevity, and how it has never changed over time. You're just going to be amazed. And I'd say every father who's got a kid playing Little League, take him and let him see Cooperstown. And it's just, I have 2 grown daughters, of course, they asked me when they were little, why aren't there any girls in the major leagues? And I told them, I said, hey, because girls are not strong enough. I wouldn't want you out there getting hit with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, getting hit in the back of the arm, or trying to duck your head out of the way, or sliding into second base and having to do. I don't think girls should do that. But today, my girls are both in business. They got great jobs. They're great people. And guess what I call them? They're major leaguers. And there's 1,000 ways to be a major leaguer in this life, in this country, in this world. And baseball is not the only place you can become a major leaguer. But Cooperstown, they should put a dome over Cooperstown. It was just an amazing place to walk around, to eat dinner, to sleep. And we had a Airbnb that we got out there. It's classic. I can't even imagine the words for it. And I can't wait to go back and see it again and enjoy it and just soak in the feelings of that town, of the Hall of Fame. Yeah, it's great, wonderful.
Great to
That
hear. Leon,
month,
And
this is your contribution. This is a monthly MVP award that the Lotte Orions gave out during the 1980 season. I think you got this in June. This is an enormous award. It takes up a lot of physical space. It's really eye-catching. Tell us about this, Leon.
yeah, in 1980, I think I made a few of I made a few monthly MVP. I think we both got a couple. This one was real special, and I told RJ Lara when he asked for an artifact, this was one of my most special ones, I think, and kind of emulate, kind of just meant, the word. It's almost like our careers were being recognized in Japan. Some of the perceptions of Japan being inferior to Major League Baseball and having our artifact selected. I thought this monthly, I went through a bunch of them, and I thought this was real uh, symbolic of our careers. Making a monthly MVP is a big deal over there because it's hard to do. And I'm just honored, number one, like my brother said, to have this thing sitting up in an exhibit in Cooperstown. I wasn't able to get there, like I told you earlier. I got a big case of vertigo during that time, and I couldn't get on an airplane. I was sick for days after without vertigo, just simply because I wasn't able to get there. But me and the family will get there eventually and be able to walk through it and see it. And this, like you said, it's memorable for me because just being recognized and being in the Cooperstown Hall of Fame is special. Even though I was selected and not elected, it's still with our exhibit in that new that's there for a long time and whatever in my lifetime. That feels like a major accomplishment for me. So I'm really extremely proud of it.
I wanted to ask you about the lettering. We see at the top MVP, but I think those are Japanese characters to the left of that. Do you know what that says, Leon?
Actually, I don't. I just thought it was an interpretation of what MVP was, but
Okay.
the lettering on it, I never really learned to read a lot of the kanji or the katakana that they put on these trophies. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming, Bruce, that it's a good thing, but I'm not quite sure what it
Yeah.
is.
Final question for both of our guests. You've talked about in Leron's case wanting to come back to the Hall of Fame and see it again. And Leon, we hope to get you out here for the first time to see this exhibit soon. I'm curious though about both of you in terms of wanting to go back to Japan for a visit. Is that something you're planning? Is that something you've done? Let's start with Leon and then we'll go to Leron.
A real quick answer. I hadn't been over in Japan for over 15 years, and I just literally got back from Japan this last week. About 10 days ago, I was in Japan for a week, and I was in Taiwan for a few days.
Nice.
Just kind of promoting we're doing a minor league deal where some of the minor leaguers are coming over to Tucson next year to get a little extra work in because, in Japan, they have one major league team and one minor league team. And I was asked to come over and meet with a couple of teams and see if I could help them. A number of years ago, I was trying to get some Japanese teams into Tucson because the Diamondbacks and the Rockies had left for Phoenix, and Tucson was screaming for spring training, which they haven't had now in a number of years. But I just recently got back, so it was all brand new. I went to Yokohama, and it's like a completely different city. I ran into a general manager with Yakyu Swallows, who used to be my teammate, and a couple other teammates. And I went over to Taiwan, and the kid that I managed when came over and managed Oryx, Hirano was managing one of the teams in Taiwan, and another teammate was managing over there. So it was really great to see. I went to the Yokohama Stadium and went to Chinatown and places where I used to go. And Kawasaki's not there anymore, but it's just kind of took the time to kind of reminisce a little bit and walk around and see places that I hadn't seen in a long time. But I'm looking forward to going back while I can. Getting older now, but while I can, I love to go back and just visit without having any business. And just I ran into a couple old teammates, brought back some matcha tea one of my old little teammates owns the Matabay Tea Company. So yeah, I had a great time over there for the time I was there, and I'd love to go back. I mean, those are some great memories.
Very nice. LeRon, how about you? Do you plan to go back to Japan at any point?
Oh yeah. My wife and daughters don't let me go when I want to because they say I eat too much when I go over there. And since I'm not playing, I don't run it off anymore. But yeah, I totally enjoy Japan. Of course, my wife is from Japan. My daughters were both born in Japan, so we have a really close connection there. And I had some businesses going in Japan earlier this century. Is that what you want to call it? But I haven't been over probably in 20 years either. Well, no, probably 10. But normally it's family stuff, and the girls are doing this, the girls are doing that, so they drag me around. Like I used to drag them to the ballparks, they take me other places now. So my younger daughter actually works for Disney, and she's done a lot of design and different things on the Tokyo Disneyland. So she has been there a lot, and we've been over there to Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland. I don't know how many times, and I get to see my buddies, but we don't see any baseball. It's all Disneyland. So we still have a good connection there, and I still enjoy. My favorite restaurant in the world is in Harajuku, Tokyo, and it's called My Sin. And if you ever visit Tokyo, find My Sin restaurant in Harajuku, and you'll have it. I guarantee it. 100% is still there. Been there forever, and the food is outstanding. Yeah, everybody I know that's going, I always give them the address to My Sin, and they all try it, and they all over the years, everybody has loved it. And talking about our trip to Japan, the 11 years that I played, the 10 years that Leon played, and actually I forgot one thing. In 1980, Leon had a year, he won the Triple Crown, except I hit 358 and Charlie Manuel hit 48 home runs, and Leon didn't win a title. But if in a normal year, Leon would have won a Triple Crown that year.
Yeah.
I think what did you hit? 340 and 41 home runs and 100.
Yeah,
What are you at?
116, which could
Yeah,
have been I mean, down the stretch we were in the hunt, so they pitched around me quite a bit. But
yeah.
it is what it is.
Surely.
Well,
Well,
LeRon, you mentioned
anyway,
your family. I want to mention Leon's son, Derek Lee, was a terrific major league player, first baseman, and was recently elected to the Chicago Cubs Hall of Fame. So I wanted to mention that as
yes,
well. That is
yep.
certainly worthy of recognition. I
Thank
want to thank
you.
both of you gentlemen for joining us, Leon and LeRon Lee. This has been a lot of fun. LeRon, we thank you for joining us. We know that you had some connection problems, but we were glad we were able to get you on the phone. We really appreciate both of you taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you. Very
Yeah,
enjoyable, and would love to do it again. Yeah, absolutely.
Our guests, Leon
Absolutely.
and LeRon Lee, former stars in Japanese baseball, and two people that have contributed quite a bit to our new exhibit called Yakyu Baseball, can be seen on the third floor here at the Baseball Hall of Fame. We thank the Lee brothers. We thank all of our listeners and viewers as well. We hope you've enjoyed the program from Cooperstown. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.